What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma if you're new here, and I love to talk about all things Peloton, cycling, and fitness. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I post every single Sunday. And in this video, I thought it would be fun to take some top rated runs, indoor running on Peloton. I'm definitely into a phase of really enjoying running, and I am just embracing it. For some reason, I just want to run a lot more than cycling these days, which kind of works out because I am training for a big race. So, it helps that I do feel motivated to run. And I was looking through the top rated runs on Peloton, filtered to 30-minute runs. And I noticed that I've taken none of the top ones, which I believe I did do a video where I took every instructor's either most popular or top rated run, but that was a while ago. New classes come out, new things get ranked. We got some new top rated runs to take, and it's always a fun video to film because if they're top rated, they're going to be good. Even if they're not something I naturally gravitate towards, they're always a fun run. So for this video, I do have it limited to 30 minutes just because I like the length of 30-minute runs. And then the other thing is with top rated classes, whenever you sort by top rated, there's always a couple of runs that are from the last week that just came out, because the runs that just came out, people that really like that instructor will take immediately and then rank really high. So I'm kind of going to just disregard those and just take ones that are top rated and a little bit older, because that means that those have stood the test of time. So the first run today is the number one top rated run for 30 minutes. It is a 30-minute Black History Month run by Jermaine Johnson from October 22nd, 2022. And I absolutely love Jermaine Johnson, so I'm very excited. And I feel like I've taken a lot of different History Month runs, and they've always been really good, really interesting. I always learn something new. So I'm very excited to start off the week with this one. So let's go to the gym and knock out this tread class. I totally get why that is a top rated run. I think it has a really good balance of the class plan being pretty interesting, being a good workout, while also having Jermaine just program the music and the vibes of the class well too. I feel like a lot of classes have one or the other, so then when it has both, people are obviously very happy. So first I'll talk about the class plan, which I thought was structured very nicely. We started off with a warm-up, we did a walk, we did some jogs, we also slowed down and did marching to kind of wake up the legs. And I feel like that's a good warm-up. I like when there's a little bit of walking and there's some of the stretches in the warm-up, just because I typically don't do any kind of warm-up on the tread before I start the class. So that's always appreciated. Then we got into the main set, which I feel was a little harder than average for a fun run, which is what I would consider this to be. We alternated songs between doing incline pushes and speed pushes. The incline only went up to 3%, so it wasn't super hard, but you were jogging during the incline. And I feel any incline at jogging is hard. It definitely gets my heart rate up. It's something I need to work on more. And then the speed pushes were kind of more open-ended. I think that he said between 6 and 9. I typically did between 7 and 9, depending on how long the push was going to be. And he usually told us he was pretty straightforward, which I also appreciate. I don't like when we are in a push and then it's oh, we're actually going to sustain this push. I want to know the plan ahead of time, and I feel for the most part, he did a good job with that. And then whenever I was doing jogging, I was at 6, which is a pretty good jogging pace for me. Then right at the end, we had a little bit of walking recovery, which is always nice. I know I can run 30 minutes straight, but I'm never going to complain if he gives us a little walking recovery. And then we did sprints at the end. So he gave us that recovery so we could push really hard at the end. Overall, I really like the class plan. I think you get a little bit of everything. I really appreciate when instructors work in some incline, because I feel a lot of the classes I take have no incline in it. So that was a nice touch. And then for the vibes, the music, I think Jermaine Johnson did a really good job. You could tell that he spent a lot of time on the playlist, which were all Black UK artists, which makes sense because it's Black History Month. Jermaine also gave a lot of background on all the different artists and their background, where they came from, and then what they're doing now, how they're groundbreaking in the industry, which I appreciated. I didn't know a lot of the artists, so it was very interesting to listen listen to. And he was talking about how the Black artist would sing about things that he could relate to and like his white friends couldn't necessarily relate to. So you could tell that it was definitely personal for him. And I feel like that kind of makes the best kind of runs, that he spent a lot of time on the playlist, like had a really good vibe. It was educational. I learned a lot about all these different artists. The music was good. I enjoyed it. Definitely a couple artists I'm going to check out after this. And then the class plan was also good. So 100% see why it was a top rated run. I would highly recommend if you're looking for a fun run that's, you know, a little bit harder. But I do feel like he gave modifications so that it could be accessible to anyone. So really like 9 out of 10 for enjoyability today, maybe 9.5. I had a really good time. I thought it was very fun. Difficulty, I'd say like 7.5 out of 10, just because I have taken some technical runs on Peloton that are way, way harder than this one, but I still thought on average harder than a normal fun run. It's now the next day. It's Tuesday morning and I'm ready for my next top rated run. And actually the next top rated run is also Jermaine Johnson. It is a 30-minute AFO run, Becky Hill, from August 19th, 2022. And I think for sake of diversity for this video, I will be skipping it. I'd love to just take Jermaine Johnson runs, and I'm glad that apparently Jermaine Johnson is everybody's favorite because I do really like him too, but I thought it'd be more fun to take some different instructors. And the next run after Jermaine's is a 30-minute 90s run by Jess Sims from October 13th, 2022. I haven't taken a Jess Sims run in forever, but I do really like her. She usually brings the heat, but also programs her class as well, which makes sense why it's top rated. I'm not a huge 90s music person, but I'm sure that Jess Sims will make it enjoyable. So let's go and knock out this 30-minute tread class. I did enjoy that class and I have no major complaints, but my biggest guess as to why that's top rated is because people that really like 90s pop music really like 90s pop music. So it attracts a very specific crowd and then they rank it very highly. I thought it was an enjoyable class. I just didn't think like, oh my gosh, this class is absolutely amazing, which I do feel like I felt about Jermaine Johnson's class yesterday. So to start out, it was all 90s pop music. I actually knew more of it than I thought I was going to know, not based off of names, just from like hearing it before. So that's always nice when it's not all music you don't know. But I do think it was fairly popular music. So if you were listening to the radio a lot in the 90s, I think you'd probably know all of the music. And then I thought that the class plan was pretty good. We had a walking warm-up, we slowed down, did some stretching movements, then went into a jog. Jess did state that this run was fun first, but honestly, we were still working during it and each song kind of had like its own theme. So we had 3 listening game songs, which I love them and I hate them because I think that they're a really fun way to like add points on and like keep you accountable because you have to add. But I also think they get really hard because she always picks like the word that gets repeated like 10 times in, 1 minute. And then you're just like constantly adding. So 2 of them were speed pushes and 1 of them was incline. And the incline listening game, we got up to 12%. So just be prepared for that. Definitely a push. My heart rate was going crazy at the end of that one. But she did also let us either walk or jog for the first 30 seconds of every song. And I took a lot of the walks. I was like, this is a fun class. I don't want to push myself super, super hard today because I am going to do a longer run tomorrow. So, we're getting the job done. We're taking the walks when she's giving it to us, and taking that walk let me keep up and push myself on some other parts, like going to 12%. And we alternated between flat, which was just 0%. And then we did like add some incline. Obviously the 12% song was the hardest song. And then there were 2 other songs that had a little bit of incline, which I also appreciate, just kind of diversify the workout. Overall, I thought it was enjoyable. I'd probably like it a lot more if I knew the music. And yeah, I just feel like Jess Sims never disappoints. It was a fun run. But at the end of the day, I feel like I have taken better Jess Sims runs, but I don't know any to name because I haven't taken her in quite some time now. So it was nice to have her as a refresher. It's still a really great and fun class. I would recommend, especially if you like 90s music. It is now Wednesday morning, and on Wednesdays, I do slightly longer runs. I do a long run on Wednesday and then like a super long run on Saturday. So today I want to run 8 miles, which honestly isn't that bad. Once I started doing like 15 miles on the weekend, like 8 miles, that's pretty much a short run. And I do my Wednesday run on a treadmill just for time saving. Like I have work, so I need to do this quick, get it over with and be done with it. And like 8 miles still will take me over an hour, so it's not a short workout. But I figured that I would take another top rated run. I am going to skip down to number 5 of the top rated runs and do 3 and 4 the last 2 days of this week, just because I think this run fits a little bit better with doing more miles. So I will be doing a 30-minute tempo run, tagged intermediate by Matt Wilpers from June 17th, 2021. Tempo runs are typically like set and forget. Like you do change, but it's not like a HIIT class where there'll be a ton of walking, which is like not really what I want today because I need to get the miles up. It's tagged intermediate and I feel like Matt always brings it, so I expect it to be a little hard, but I'm excited to see why this is top rated. I feel like tempo runs are like not the most fun runs, so maybe Matt makes it really fun, which is why people rated it so high. Or is it because only really specific people take tempo runs and those are people that really like running in the first place? I don't know, we'll see. I'm excited, and then after this I'm just gonna like watch TV for the rest of my run or do something else. I'm not gonna stack Peloton classes. So let's go to the gym and knock out this 30-minute run. I'm honestly not sure why that was a top rated run. I didn't think it was bad at all. I just didn't think it was like phenomenal. Wow, like everyone should take this class. I guess if you like tempo runs, you would probably like this one. And I don't take a lot of tempo runs, so maybe this one is like way better than all the others, but I'm very interested to know like why people rank it so highly. We started out, I believe it was like an 11 or 12 minute warm up. It was quite long and the warm up was great. You know, we were jogging, we did some hill work in the warm up, like very light hill work. And then we also did some like faster pace, like not sprinting, but going from like your jog to your run, just to kind of like warm up the body. I didn't think it was anything like out of the ordinary, but yeah, we did it. We were ready to go. We set the incline to 1%, which I always appreciate because I do that anyways when I'm doing longer runs to kind of like mimic the outdoors. And then we got into the actual set. And the actual set was just 5 minutes of tempo, 1 minute of jogging, 6 minutes of tempo, 1 minute of jogging, and then 5 minutes of tempo. And then it was the end of the class already. So for the tempo pace, I did 7 speed, which is definitely a push for me, not like super hard, but I was also running like more miles after this. So I didn't want to go like super, super hard. And then my 1 minute of jogging, I went down to 5.8. 5.8 is like an easy jog for me. I think 6 is like kind of getting up there, but I also consider that a jog. But 5.8 is like a pretty easy recovery jog, but I wanted that easy recovery after doing tempo for so long. And that was the entire class. I like the music, but like with Matt Wilpers, music is never really the strong suit. And then he also gave some good advice, which I always appreciate. Like he's like, for tempo, we're setting and forgetting. So you can't change what the treadmill is doing, but you can change like what's going on in your head and what your body is doing, which I thought was like an interesting way to think about it and like think about how you're running and like if it feels good at the pace you're at. So I thought it was an interesting class. I wouldn't be like, wow, go take it. If you want to take a tempo class, like this was organized well. And I do like Matt, like he's a good instructor. I just didn't feel like it was like really, really mind blowing. But you know, no real complaints about the class. I'd give it like a 7 out of 10 for difficulty, which I probably could have pushed myself a little bit harder, but I also didn't want to. And like an 8 out of 10 for enjoyability. It definitely was enjoyable, and I actually feel like it went by pretty quickly, especially for sustained pushes. It sometimes drags, and I didn't feel like this one dragged, but yeah, I just thought it was okay. It is now the next day. It's Thursday morning and we're just continuing the week of running with another top rated run today. It is a 30-minute 80s run by Jon Hosking from August 26th, 2022. This is the third top rated 30-minute run and I'm excited. I really, really like Jon. I think he's very fun and like just a little bit of goofy. Like he kind of reminds me of a mix between like Ben Aldis and Bradley Rose, but I'm worried about the 80s music because I didn't know a lot of 90s music. I probably know even less 80s music. I think this is another case of like a niche music taste rates a class really high because they like the music. But what I want to know is why is there not a top pop punk run? Guys, we need to be ranking these higher. But yeah, I am curious how this is gonna go. I do really like Jon. I think it'll be like a good programmed run, but we'll see for the music. So let's hit the gym and knock out this 30-minute shred class. I totally understand why that was a top rated run. So first off, it was filmed in August. So I think that's like when people were just getting into the studio. So there are people in the class and the energy from the audience is really high. Like they're like cheering all the time. You can tell that Jon is really excited and like interacting with the people in the studio. So I feel like that is the main reason why this is ranked so high. I just feel like it was a really high energy class and I actually recognized some of the music and even the music I didn't recognize. It was all very, very upbeat, like typical 80s music. It makes sense. The energy is very, very high. And yeah, you could just tell Jon was really happy. He did a lot of, dancing while he was on the tread, which I always appreciate. And yeah, it was just like really, really high energy, good vibes all around. The plan itself, I didn't think was anything super special. We did a warm up. We started off walking, went into the jog, and then pretty much every single song was like a different mini set, which is typically what it is for like these fun runs. This was definitely a fun run. We mostly just started off in a jog and then like kept going like a little faster. Like you would keep telling us to like add a little bit. And that was like the majority of the set. For a couple songs, we went up to 2%, which, 2% incline is kind of hard, especially when you don't do it often and you're like trying to run the same pace that you were when it was 0% incline. But yeah, pretty basic set, very easy to follow along with, and lots of walking opportunities, which I always appreciate for like a fun run like this. I'm not expecting a super hard run. Like I want the opportunity to walk, catch my breath, kind of just have a more fun class. So pretty much at the beginning of every song, he was like, you can walk or jog. So I like that the option is there. I took a lot of walking opportunity, especially after yesterday that I did a longer run. I was looking for today to be a little bit easier. So I really, really enjoyed this class. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would, considering that I'm not super into 80s music, but the energy was very high. We got the job done, was still a good workout while also not being like super, super hard. It was just a really good, fun run. It is now Friday morning. I love Fridays. We got one workout, one work day till we get to the weekend, and I'll be doing my last top rated run today. I'm a little nervous, but also very excited. It is a 30-minute HIIT and Hills run by Kirsten Ferguson, tagged beginner, from August 8th, 2022. And I used to love HIIT and Hills on the bike. I do not do them on the tread very often. I'm hoping since it's tagged beginner, the HIIT part is like sprints and then walking. But we'll see. Going in with an open mind, it's definitely going to be a little harder than the fun runs that I've been doing this week, but I believe that we can push through. I like Kirsten a lot. I don't think she'll steer us wrong. The music is like rap and pop, which is music I like. So let's hit the gym and knock out this last top rated run. I thought that was a pretty good class. I don't think it was like amazing, wow, top rated run on Peloton, considering this was like number 4 out of like all the runs on Peloton, but I do see why it was rated highly. And I think the biggest reason is that it is accessible to beginners, especially for something like HIIT and Hills that just sounds scary. Like it sounds like a hard run. No one's going to be like HIIT and Hills easy. I think it was nice that Kirsten offered a lot of modifications that even if you're not a great runner, if you want to walk a lot of it, you can still get a really great workout in. And Kirsten gives those modifications in real time, so you don't have to do anything. You can just follow along and like have a good run that's challenging, but like not crazy challenging. Because sometimes if you're taking runs that are like way harder than you should be taking, it's just discouraging. Even I've taken those. I took all the hardest runs on Peloton for each instructor before for a video, and sometimes that's discouraging when they're calling out like 10 speed and you just can't go that. So I definitely can see the appeal of this class and that it's nice that it is geared towards beginners, but you also had the opportunity to push yourself more if you weren't a beginner. So we started off in a walk. I love a walking warm up. We then slowed down, did a lot of different like foot leg stretches, like high knees and stuff, really stretched out. And for the whole time, she mostly called out beginner speed. Sometimes she would like give somewhat modifications, or she's like, oh, I'm not giving you like a top speed, just a bottom speed. So for a jog, I think it was like 4 to 5.5. It was a little bit slower than what I usually do. So I typically just like followed my own call outs based on if she said like a jog, a run, or a sprint. For jogs, I typically do like 5.8 to 6. So that is what I did. The main set was just a hill, HIIT section, hill, HIIT section. So I like that rather than like going between them really quickly. We kind of had like 5-ish minutes on each section throughout the run. And the 2 hills were fairly similar. We jogged the whole time, but she also said you could go down to a walk if you don't want to jog on a hill, which I thought was nice. But I was like, I can push myself to jog. And we went between 4% and 6% incline. And then on the first hill, we went down to 2% incline and like increased speed a little bit. And the second hill, we just like went back and forth between the 4 and 6% incline. And that second hill was really getting my heart rate up. My heart rate was like 180 by the end, I think. Hills are definitely my weak point, so any class that focuses on them is really good. Honestly, I should probably start taking like only hills runs just to get more used to like hilly terrain, but maybe one day, we'll see. This was a little dabble into it. And then the HIIT sections were fairly similar, although the first one was definitely easier. It was 30 seconds on, 60 seconds recovery, walk. And the 30 seconds, I believe she wanted you to go over 6, but she gave no top speed. I went between 9 and 10 and like stuck to 10 after I worked up to it, which was a really big push for me, especially on the second set. But the first set felt good because you had so much recovery, like 60 seconds recovery could bring my heart rate pretty much completely down since I walked it. So it was a nice push. We did that 4 times. And then the second HIIT set, she was really working you. And it was 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off 3 times. The same like push whatever speed you want and then walk recovery. And then we got a 60-second recovery, which was nice. And we finished off with another 3 pushes, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. So the second half was definitely harder than the first half, but the whole time she offered modifications. You could always walk the hills. I thought that it was structured pretty well. It flowed really nicely. I also felt like it went by really quickly, and I really like for HIIT classes to have walking recovery because then I can like go really hard on the sprints. So overall, I really enjoyed the class plan. I think it's great for beginners. If you've never taken a HIIT and Hills class before and you're curious, I would recommend starting with this one and seeing how you like it. And the music was mostly rap. Like I said, a little bit of pop. I thought it was good music to run to. I like to run to things that have a heavy beat, so rap is usually pretty good for that. And Kirsten was fun as always. I feel like she has a very upbeat personality for like the vibes of the class. I didn't think they were like incredible, oh my gosh, wow, so high energy, but I think that the class structure was really good, so it kind of like makes up for it. And like the music and vibes weren't bad. I just don't think that they were like, oh my gosh, so incredible, top rated. So it was interesting to take. I would definitely take that class again. I'd give it like a 5 out of 10 for difficulty, especially with like the modifications. I feel like a lot of people could take it depending on your range, and like you could modify it to make it harder or easier. And for enjoyability, I'd give it like 8 out of 10. Honestly, I kind of want to start taking more HIIT and hills runs now because I definitely need to practice my hills. And then sometimes it's nice to do a HIIT run. Like I don't typically do that since I mostly do distance. So it was nice to challenge myself and get some sprints in. So that is the last class I'm going to take in this video. I thought it was really fun. I feel like this is your reminder if you don't know what to take. And sometimes I like know I want to take a run, but I just don't know like what to take. It gets overwhelming. There's so many choices to either sort by popular or top rated, because honestly, like if people rate it top rated, it's never going to be a bad run. None of the runs this week were unenjoyable. Like they're all a good time. You get in, get the work done. And I feel like all of them pass pretty quickly, which sometimes I've taken some runs that really drag out. So you got to trust your fellow Peloton raiders. Even if it's not your cup of tea, like an 80s run, a 90s run, those are runs I would never choose to take on my own. They were still really great. So it's also nice to kind of like get out of your comfort zone, because I also do that. I fall into taking like the same exact type of run or the same exact instructor over and over again. And the diversity is nice. It like mixes up your training. I feel like every instructor approaches running a little bit differently, just exercising in general. So it's nice to like hear other instructors' perspectives. So that is it for this video. Let me know what your top run is, because I am always looking for new suggestions. I've been taking a lot of running courses recently and I always need new ones. I hope you guys are staying safe, having an awesome week, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.